Brethren, do you not know that those who run in a race all indeed run, but one receives the prize? So run as to obtain it. And everyone in a contest abstains from all things, and they indeed to receive a perishable crown, but we imperishable. I therefore so run as not without a purpose. I so fight as not beating the air, but I chastise my body and bring it into subjection, lest perhaps after preaching to others I myself should be rejected. For I would not have you ignorant, brethren, that our fathers were all under the cloud and all passed through the sea, and all were baptized with Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and all ate the same spiritual food, and all drank the same spiritual drink. For they drank from the spiritual rock which followed them, but the rock was Christ. Yet, with most of them, God was not well pleased. The Gospel is taken from Matthew chapter 20. At that time Jesus spoke to his disciples this parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a householder who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. And having agreed with the laborers for a denarius a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And about the third hour he went out and saw others standing in the marketplace idle. And he said to them, Go you also into my vineyard, and I will give you whatever is just. So they went. Beginning went out about the 6th, and about the 9th hour, and did the same. But about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing. And he said to them, Why do you stand here all day idle? He said to him, Because no man has hired us. He said to them, Go you also into my vineyard. When evening had come, the owner of the vineyard said to his steward, Call the laborers and pay them their wages, beginning from the last even to the first. And when they of the 11th hour came, they received each a denarius. And when the first in their turn came, they thought they would receive more, but they all also received one. And on receiving it, they began to murmur against the householders, saying, These last have worked a single hour, and thou hast put them on a level with us, who have borne the burden of the day's heat. But answering one of them, he said, Friend, I do thee no injustice. Didst thou not agree with me for a denarius? Take what is thine and go. I choose to give to this last even as to thee. Have I not a right to do what I choose? Or art thou envious because I am generous? Even so the last shall be first, and the first last. For many are called, but few are chosen. These are the words of today's gospel. My name is Father Rigi. I grew up in Connecticut, then we moved to Idaho.
Sorry.
Some consistency here. I'm pretty sure this is going to go long enough. Sorry. I'm going to give one last chance, and then it's done. Now threw me off. Yeah, Connecticut. Was born in Connecticut, and then our family eventually moved to Idaho, Post Falls. Went to school there, Society School in the parish. Went there K through 8, and then went to La Salette Academy in Illinois, boarding school there for my high school years. And then upon graduation, I joined the seminary in Winona at the time. I was ordained in 2014, and was stationed in Oregon for 2 years with Father Burford, actually. He was my first boss. So I've got a lot of stories. He's a holy man. He's a holy man. You can tell him that. Father, he said you're such a holy man. He is after I was under him, for sure. So 2 years with him, and then we all pretty much got shipped out at the same time. He came to Arcadia, and I went to La Salette. So I've been there, I think it's about 3.5 years, almost 4 years, going on 4 years. Father Burford asked if I could give a little talk on La Salette Academy after the Mass. I don't know how much time we have. I know that we have to be out by like 6, so depending upon how long the sermon goes, we'll see. I don't know. The talk was actually was longer than I thought it would be. I guess that's with everything, so I don't know if we'll be able to do it. I'll at least maybe say a few words, but I guess we'll kind of play that by ear. I'm sure there's something important, but please see the bulletin for any important announcements. At this point, there seems to be a lot of reading, so welcome, Father Rigi. Okay, so there's a little thing about me anyway. So please read this. It seems to be important stuff on the back. He didn't give me anything specific, so I'll just leave it at that. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.
human beings are beings of progress. We're looking towards progress all the time. We might not want it, but we do. Like our bodies grow naturally, things develop naturally in us. It's just a natural occurrence, a natural thing that's bred into us, that's built into us by God. And so we will be inclined to look to see what progress we make in whatever area it might be. Unfortunately, sometimes the spiritual life is something that we don't often make a lot of reflection to see or gauge what kind of progress we made. But if we do get the chance, and we are brave enough to reflect a little bit and look into the mirror of our soul, a lot of times we realize I really haven't made too much progress, if at all. Sometimes I even find myself maybe declining. But if I've made progress, it seems to not be much. And I think we could all, in one way, shape, or form, agree with that assessment. And I often think that the reason for that is because we don't really understand what we are, and we don't have the right goal. Human beings are beings that need to be oriented towards a goal. And if it's not the right goal, then they can't really go about things in the right manner. I think too often our goal is simply to get to heaven. And I don't think that's right. I think it's too simplistic of an answer. My goal is to get to heaven. Well, that's beautiful, and of course that's important, but I think we're missing something when we put that as our goal. And I would say that the majority of Catholics probably have that as our goal. What I mean is, let's take the example of a little kid, or even high school, it doesn't matter, someone who's in school, and if their goal is just to graduate, well then, once their mind is made up, my goal is to graduate, then the mind realizes that anything that is not going to allow me to graduate is not permissible. But anything that does allow me to graduate is fine. And so what does that bring about? It brings about usually a mindset of someone who says, I can't fail, but as long as I don't fail, I'm good to go. That's all that matters. I've got to graduate, so that means I can't fail any subjects. If I fail, I've got problems. So my goal is to not fail anything. I'd like to do well, but the main goal is just don't fail the subjects. Don't get in trouble with mom, don't get in trouble with dad. I just got to pass, slide by. As long as I graduate, that's what matters. And we do the same thing when it comes to the spiritual life. Heaven. As long as I get to heaven, it's all good. This is wrong. Right? We were not guaranteed heaven. The moment the waters of baptism washed over our head, heaven was not guaranteed. The only thing that was guaranteed is struggle, combat, is difficulty. That is guaranteed. And the problem with us is that we fail to realize that our very identity is woven not into heaven, but is more primarily woven into the idea of struggle and battle. Because that's what we were born to do. Because once again, we're not guaranteed heaven. But God, from the moment that He gives us the grace of baptism, does guarantee us something, and that is struggle. But it is the one thing that we are most determined to have no part of at all. Struggle. If you think about our lives, our souls are so chained by thick iron chains of comfort, convenience, and leisure that we don't know what it is to be uncomfortable. I just take, for instance, it can be more apparent sometimes in somewhere like California, right? If it goes like 50 degrees, hats are coming out, gloves are coming out, big coats are coming out, right? It's something that is foreign. But all of us, right? Turning on that shower, right? You spend 10 minutes just poking around that shower. It's got to be just warm enough, not cold enough, the fingertips over there, maybe the toe a little bit. Is it warm enough? Is it just perfect for me to then say, I can go into the shower now? It's got to be perfect. Too hot? Not a chance. Too cold? No way. Got to be just perfect. We even have heated steering wheels now. For God forbid that our hands get a little bit chilly going from home to the workplace. It might not happen here, but you even have to send out your child and start the car for me, right? Because I want to make sure it's a little bit toasty before I've got to go to work, right? It's got to be just perfect. So let me fiddle with the heat. Let me crank up those seat heats up, like way up. Let's get that thing burning underneath me so that I am perfectly warm and comfortable in my own little thing. Right? If the book doesn't come to me in 2 days, Amazon, what's wrong with you? I am having a fit. I'm calling up customer service. What is wrong? Why? You said it'd be in 2 days. Where is the book? Everything's got to be just like this. Immediacy. Right? I want something, I can go to Walmart, and it's got everything. 500 yards away is the complete opposite thing that I'm looking at right now. It's all there. I don't have to do any work for anything. I don't even have to garden to get a flower anymore. I can just go and pick up flowers. I go from my climate-controlled home, into my climate-controlled car, into my climate-controlled store, pick out the flowers I want, and boom, there you go, I've got flowers. No effort is needed, nothing at all. Convenience, comfort, leisure is our very identity. And this is why we don't make any progress, because we don't know what it is to be uncomfortable. Because the devil and the world has strangled our soul to the point where we have no confidence, no strength, and no courage to say that I might be able to handle something outside of my comfort zone. No way, can't do it. Cold shower, can't do it. The interesting thing is, the man who's never known hot showers is not afraid of cold showers because he doesn't know of that comfort. It doesn't even exist to him. And that's the problem with us. Comfort, 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 and we don't have the courage to go outside of that. But that's right where the spiritual life is going outside of that comfort zone. Going beyond what we think is our boundaries or our borders of pain, of endurance, of just putting up with things that might be a little bit difficult or might be unknown. Imagine where would civilization be if that group of men and women huddled around a fire in a forest didn't say, what's beyond this forest? And had the courage to go outside of it and find something. Where would we be if the explorers of old didn't look beyond the ocean and say, what's beyond there? And we have the courage to be able to find, to go out there and just trust that there is something and I can endure it. We wouldn't be here today. Comfort has strangled us to the point where we can't function unless it's free of all struggle. We're afraid of it. We can't handle it. And that's why we've got to start introducing into our lives uncomfortable things. Because only by introducing and embracing those things slowly but surely can we once again have the confidence and the strength that it takes for us to go beyond. The devil and the world are going to sit there and tell us all that you can't do this. There's no way you can do something like that. It's too difficult. No, it's not. I just have to take one step at a time to prove to myself that I can. I have to one step at a time break the chains that my mind are wrapped up in saying, I can't do these things. That's where it all begins. But the problem with us is we spiritualize everything. We live in this candy land of a spiritual life. That it's just like, as long as I pray and go to confession, everything will be fine. That's a lie of the devil. That's not how it works. Prayer is the most essential thing, yes. Without prayer, we cannot make any progress whatsoever because only God can give that strength. But here's where the devil comes into play. Yeah, pray, that's really good. Do prayer. That's important. Go to Mass on Sunday. That's great. That's what we need to do. But avoid all the material things that are necessary for you to be ordered, for you to be disciplined, and for you to have the courage to do things that are difficult. If he can get us to avoid those things, then he's got us right where he wants us. We'll pray, but it means nothing if we, on a material level, cannot endure the slightest discomfort. I don't care how much you pray. If you don't have the discipline to pass by the kitchen at night and not pick up the snack, then you're never overcoming that temptation of impurity or vanity or being uncharitable or gossip. It's just not happening. Why? Because the supernatural builds upon the natural. You can't just turn a switch, people. It doesn't work that way. You can't just be disordered and disorganized and unruly in your physical life and just all of a sudden become a saint in your spiritual life. It's a lie of the devil and it's a lie of the world. Because it knows if I can keep them from doing those things, then I chain them up and they don't think these things are possible. Because that's the reality. You go to confession every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, whatever it might be, and you confess the same sins over and over again, and nothing changes. Why? Because you don't actually believe that you can stop. You're addicted. You need it. It's part of you. And you don't think you can beat it. Because you've never done anything difficult in your life before. You've never tested yourself. You've never gone past the point of what before you thought was the only thing that I could do. But once you start doing that on a physical level, then your mind starts realizing, with the grace of God, I can beat this. I can. If I start eating healthier, if I start drinking more disciplined, if I start getting up on time and going to sleep on time, if I start keeping my household organized and free of clutter, if you start doing these things on a material life, you start realizing I can do so much more. That's the key to the spiritual life. You have to start on a material level. Or else you're never going to do anything on the spiritual level. It's just lies and deceit, and it's illusion. It's an illusion to think that you can just pray and everything just goes away. Because you and I both know nothing has changed. How long have you been fighting that same sin over and over again? And what has actually changed? Nothing. Nothing. Because you haven't changed here. And that's the foundation. It starts there. Discipline on a material life brings about discipline in the spiritual life. And it will happen no other way. It's why the monks, the great masters of the spiritual life, are strict in their schedule. A bell rings, we go. A bell rings, we eat. A bell rings, we drink. A bell rings, we pray. A bell rings, we sleep. A bell rings, we wake up. Everything is structured and organized. Why? Because only if I harness in my body can I harness in my soul. But the devil will sit there and rationalize. Why? Oh, you don't have to. Just pray, just pray, just pray. Just do spiritual reading. It's a lie. And you're justifying it. Why? Because you don't want to give up those material things that you know continue to hold you back. You don't want to give them up. You love them. Once again, addicted to them many times. You need them. Because I need comfort. I need it. But you don't. That's why you keep going from one comfort to another comfort to another comfort. Because you cannot find rest in it. Because it is not what you are. You were born for struggle, not for comfort. The moment that water washed over your head, comfort was done. And you will never find solace in it. Never. You will go around like an animal, trying to lap up every comfort and every pleasure and every leisure and every moment of satisfaction to get filled. And you never will. The only moment you will be satisfied is when you wake up and you struggle all day for your God, without any care of what happens in the future. Like St. Francis de Sales, who had scruples, wasn't sure, am I going to get to heaven? Am I not going to get to heaven? And he finally went for the Blessed Sacrament and says, who cares? I'm not going to worry about whether I make it to heaven or not. My only concern is that right now, in this moment, I fight for you and I stay faithful to you. And that's our battle. That's where we have to be obsessed. Obsessed with what are the things that I need to fight against. Where does the enemy lay? We are in a war. And stop trying to convince yourself that you're not. Because every person who's saying it's not really, yes, the world is so terrible. No. The war is in here. That's where the war is. The war for your soul is way more important than who cares who's running the White House. Who cares who's on the seat of Peter? What matters most is this. The world is in such shambles. Why? Because we've allowed it. Because our souls have been devoid of all struggle. And so what do you expect? Do you expect some great pope? No. We don't deserve a great pope. Because we haven't been faithful to the every moment of our struggles. All we've been concerned about is ourselves. But it's time to start getting obsessed with the spiritual life, because that's what we were born for. And only when we fall in love with the struggle and the work of it will we truly be happy. Will we be able to wake up every day and be obsessed with fighting against the enemy that lays in all the different temptations that I fall prey to. Be obsessed with it. Wake up every day, write a list down of all the things that you know are keeping you from your God, and you fight them tooth and nail. You dig deep and you fight these things. Whether they be impurity, whether they be dishonesty, whether it be worldliness or vanity or gossiping or being uncharitable. What is it that is keeping you from your God? Where does the enemy lie within your soul? And fight it. Wake up every day and say, this is who I am. I struggle with A, B, and C. And I will be prepared by doing A, B, and C in order to fight that thing. You have to be prepared for it. You're a soldier. You are a warrior. That's what you are. It's not a romanticized notion. It's not some like, oh, Father Rigi just wants to play army guy. No, it's a reality. A spiritual warfare. So you have to act like a soldier. Because if you don't act like a soldier, you don't win a war. Right? It's like the Spartans, right? They were always very hesitant about going into a war that wasn't on their lands. And so when the Persian armies were attacking, and they asked for all the city-states, all the representatives to come to Athens to discuss, what are we going to do about the invader? And everyone said, I'm giving 5,000 men, I'm getting 20,000 men, we'll give 15,000 men, or whatever it might be. And the Spartan representative said, we'll give a small division, 50 guys. And everyone sat there and said, oh, Sparta is supposed to be the great Sparta. You're only going to give us 50 guys? And he stood up and he started pointing at all the men of the city-states. It's a famous story, right? And he said, what do you do? And the one said, I'm a stonemason. And what do you do? I'm a sculptor. And what do you do? I'm a carpenter. And what do you do? I'm a philosopher. And he said, we are soldiers. That's all we do. So we bring 50 men, we've brought 50 more soldiers than you bring. If you don't approach every day like a fighter, you're not winning any battles. You've got to start honing in on your faults. What are my faults? And I have to be prepared for them. Just like a soldier has to be prepared for the enemy. Where is he? How does he attack? In what time does he attack? In what manner does he attack? When I know all the movements of the enemy, then I am strong. Then I am powerful. Then I have the strength and the confidence to beat him. But only then. The problem with us is we confess our sins, and then we just forget about them. Right? We go days without really, we might pray, we might say the rosary, but sin and our temptations, not at the forefront of our mind. We don't want to think about that. That's ugly stuff, right? I don't want to think about that stuff. And that's why we fall. Because here we go about our day, and all of a sudden, boom, temptation of impurity. And we're totally thrown off guard, and before you know it, we've fallen. Why? Because you weren't thinking about it. You weren't ready for it. That's why you fall. Why do you fall to gossiping? Because you get on the phone with somebody who starts gossiping, and you're not mentally prepared for it. That's why you fall. But if you wake up every day and say, this is me, I struggle with gossiping, and I'm doing A, B, and C to fight against it. I know where it's going to come from. I'm going to hang out with one of my friends, and it's going to start. What am I going to do as soon as that happens? I'm going to say this nice thing about the person, or I'm going to tell them this thing. I'm going to react with this prayer, whatever it might be. But once you come into that situation, you already know it's coming. And so the moment someone brings up the gossiping, you're ready to go. You're ready to fight it. You're ready to beat it. And you probably do. It's the same thing with impurity, whatever it might be. Where do I struggle with it? Where do I usually fall? I've got to be mentally prepared for it. And then at the end of the day, I do the same thing. I reflect. All right, what happened today? Oh, I struggle with purity. Okay, I fell once because what happened? I was really tired. Okay, A, you were really tired and I spent too much time on the internet. B, you spent too much time on the internet. So what are you doing about it tomorrow? I got to make sure I get to bed earlier. If I need to, whatever I need to do, I need to make sure I have more rest. And B, I've got to make sure I'm not spending so much time online. So I put a sticky note on the computer. I put something on my screensaver on my phone that says, get off. 10 minutes and that's it. And before I do, I say 3 Hail Marys. That's what we have to do. We have to be obsessive to the point that we analyze every aspect of our lives, of our faults, of our failures, of our temptations, so that the next day I wake up, I'm ready to go. I'm in bed earlier. I'm more awake. And I wake up in the morning, I say, what's going to happen is I'm going to get on that phone, and this is going to happen, and this bell's going to go off, and that alert's going to happen, and the devil in the world's going to say, keep going, but I'm ready for it. I am not falling to it. Not today, Lord, and with your help, I won't. That's how we beat temptation. We have to start on a material level. If we just sit there and just say, oh, I'll pray when temptation comes, you've already lost. You're already too late. Because the temptation comes, all of a sudden I gotta heroically bring up this prayer. The devil's already got you right where he wants you. Right where he wants you, because he knows when it's gonna come. And we're not alert to it. You've got to start obsessing over this. Or else, what are you even doing here? What are we doing here? We come before the Blessed Sacrament every Sunday, and we receive him and embrace him and say, what? It's the sacrament of love. I'm saying I love you, I'm consecrated, I'm dedicated to you. And our Lord is sitting there saying, how dare you? How dare you? You tell me with your words that you love me, but what do you do out there to prove it? What have you done to deny yourself? What have you done to struggle against the things that are an obstacle to getting closer to me? You're just a hypocrite. You're just like the Pharisees or whited sepulchres who I cast out of the temple with all the fury that I could muster up. You're nothing. You're just lying to him. And there's nothing more that our Lord hates than a liar. At least come before him and say, Lord, I don't really love you that much, but I'd like to. Help me. That's what he wants to hear. Honesty. He wants to see honesty, hear it, and then he wants to see you prove your dedication to him by waking up every day and struggling for him. That's the Catholic life. It's got to start at the very bottom level. Start doing small things that are uncomfortable. Start giving up things that you know you love, but you know that probably, they're not sinful maybe, but they definitely weaken me, whatever they might be. Whether that be eating wrong things, I eat junk food, maybe I drink too much, maybe I watch things that I shouldn't watch or listen to things that I shouldn't listen to. What are the things that maybe aren't sinful downright, but make you soft? And get rid of them. Because if you're not doing that, then what are you doing? What are you doing? Because you will come before God, and he's going to say, what did you do for me? You said a bunch of stuff, but what did you do? Did you struggle? Did you bleed for me? Did you sweat for me? Did you obsess over me? Were you willing to die every day for me? Because if not, what are you doing here? I gave you everything, and you just gave me words. What kind of courage? Who's going to be brave enough to leave this chapel today and say, I'm done. I'm done with the world. I'm done with the lies. I'm done with the comfort. I'm not saying you have to live like an Amish person, but you know the things that you need to do. You're just too scared to do them. You're just too scared. And that's because you've never done anything to prove that you can accomplish those things. But God gave you all the strength in the world. Our Lord came upon this earth and said, be perfect as my heavenly Father is perfect. That's not just him saying what will sound good. What's a good tagline for the Gospels? He meant it. If he's telling you to be perfect, then he's saying, I have given you the strength and the power to be perfect. So start working at it. Start fighting for it. Start understanding the strength you have. And the devil and the world, they are petrified that you will discover that strength. Absolutely petrified. Horrified that you might start realizing you can do a whole lot more than you think you can do. You just got to start breaking the chains. And that starts with material things. I'm going to go 30 seconds with a cold shower. I'm going to build it up. I'm going to go more. I'm going to go more. Or I'm done with junk food for a week or for a month. I'm done with drinking for a week. I'm gonna prove that I can do it. So that by the time I get to the end of the week, I realize I just did something that I never thought was possible. And if I can do that, what more can I do? That's how you build a spiritual life. Because before you know it, there comes that temptation of impurity, of vanity, of worldliness, of pride, of being uncharitable, of gossiping. And it's presented before you're ready for it, and you say, no, I don't need you anymore. I don't need your comfort that you give me. Why? Because I've been uncomfortable all week long. I don't need you anymore. And I say no. That's what the Catholic men and women of old did. Slowly build up your strength. Be courageous. Have a little bit of courage. Be brave. It's not easy. The world and the devil will tell you, if you start today, tomorrow will say, you can't do it. You can't get up early. You can't go to bed on time. You can't get out there and walk a mile. Yeah, you can. You just got to do it. You've got the grace. You've got the strength. Our Lord is always there to help you. Now it's just a matter of doing it. And who will be brave enough? Who will be courageous enough, like the explorers of old, to go beyond? Are you willing to do it? Or are you just going to continue taking in the lies and just continue to keep yourself chained up, saying, no, I can't do that. These things I can't do. What's it going to be? You have everything. I don't know how many ways to explain it to you. The devil's sitting there saying, if they only knew. And our Lord is saying, if they only knew. Now it's just a matter of getting it done. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost.